Hello, creatives. It's your host, Adrienne Lauren, and welcome back to The Thriving Artist, the show where we discuss how creatives create flourishing careers. Our guest for today is Ronnie Walter, a licensed artist, writer, and art business coach. She is the author of License to Draw, How to Monetize Your Art Through Licensing, and many more. Her illustrations and designs have been licensed onto gift, greeting cards, fabric, decorative flags, and home decor products. With her professional fresh eye, she coaches artists to help them find their voice and vision through practical steps towards success. Ronnie lives in Florida with her super smart husband, Jim Marcotte, and their best shelter dog ever, Larry. So without further ado, let's please welcome Ronnie Walter.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. And yes, Larry always gets billing in my bio, so.
Got a special spot in your bio and
exactly.
in your heart.
Exactly, yes.
All right. Why don't we dive into this concept of the starving artist? Why don't you buy into it, and why don't you think others shouldn't either?
It's an idea that is long past its prime. We always had this idea that artists, because we love what we do so much, it doesn't have any value because we would do it whether we were paid or not. And a lot of artists say that, and I know I've said that a lot, where I just say, oh, well, if I wasn't getting paid for this, I would do it. And they think, well, then does it have any value?
Yeah.
So it's a complicated question, but I am not a fan of starving. And I think that that's one of the problems that in our educational system is that we teach people how to be artists, but we don't teach them how to feed themselves with their art. For me personally, as an illustrator, and as a coach, and when I was an agent, I didn't want you to starve. I want you to be able to elevate your work to a point where there are people out there that want to put down cold hard cash or royalties for your work. That is my goal.
Perfect. Let's switch gears.
Okay.
And let's delve into well, from your experience, and you've learned a lot working with artists and coaching them, what are some success principles that have really stood out to you?
Well, over these many years of my career, both with myself and artists that I have worked with, I know that I've identified three things that need to be in place for you to really move your creative career forward. Think of this as a triangle. One point on the triangle is your work. That has to be there, obviously. Whether that's you're a songwriter, a playwright, a book, you write a book, a visual artist, whatever that is, the work is the work. Then you are one of the other points on the triangle. You are the person, it's what you bring to the table, it's your experience, it's your work ethic, the you part. That has to be strong and in place. And the third thing is the market and how you are going to meet that market, those people that are going to give you money. How are you going to identify them? How are you going to work with them? What is that deal going to look like? At all times when you are wanting to monetize your creativity, those are the three places that need to be in place in some part of that triangle. So, shall I just go a little deeper?
Yeah, let's start with you.
Okay, let's start with you.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if you ever took a sales 101 class, the one thing that they always tell you, because it's true, is that people like to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So you want to be that person. You want to make sure that you do what you say you will, that you show up on time, that you deliver things when you say you're going to do that. And just because we're artists, even though we'd love it, we don't get a pass on that. Because more than likely, the people that you are going to work with have business heads. They want to work with people that do the things that they say they're going to do. But they also want to make sure that you are bringing these fresh ideas to them and that you are the person that shows up with all this cool stuff. If there's a choice between two people, they want to go, oh yeah, but she's so funny, or she's so cool, or he always comes up with the best ideas, or he likes to work as a team. So you want to be able to, for one thing, develop those qualities in yourself, but also be able to express that to people, that you are that person. So your viewpoint, your unique experiences, your quirks and geekiness are all part of what informs your work. So you have to be able to express that both on, on written materials and in your day-to-day life. You need to show up as that person. And I think that that's really important, that you serve other people with your work, because that's why you're there. Part of that is becoming organized, looking at this as a business, having a work ethic, making a plan, and then getting help when you feel like you're not quite there. Because if there's one thing I know about artists, and I know this because I am one, is that artists tend to go to 3 different places when they're in that sort of overwhelm, I don't know what to do place. They either spin their wheels, keep doing the same thing over and over and over. They freak out and call everybody they know and tell them how awful everything is. Or they shut down and go, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that is a loss to the world. But if you can stay front and center with, I feel very secure about my work, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do this, you are a big part of that work getting in front. It could be amazing work, but if you're not taking the time to show up as the person you want to be and the person that they need to talk to, your work will never be seen by the world. And that's not always easy. That's not always easy to do.
Yeah, because some people get so immersed in the work that they don't work on themselves.
Right.
So very fascinating. So now let's go on to that other point in the triangle, which is your work.
The work. Okay. Yeah. Well, the work has to be good. I mean, it just does. Again, you don't get a pass because the idea is fabulous. It has to be well crafted. I don't know, unless somebody else on this summit knows, a creative venue that's not crowded right now, that isn't a lot of competition. I'd love to know that, and I'll learn how to do whatever that thing is. But in the creative market as we know it, it's usually pretty crowded. There are a lot of people wanting to do what you want to do. So your work needs to be up to a level, a professional level, and you just need to continue to improve that. It also needs to be authentic and original. We don't need anybody else mimicking other people. I mean, we are all influenced. That is for sure true. You can't help but be influenced by other people, other artists. Yeah. But when you start into being derivative of that person or mimicking them, you're just being sort of a cheapened version of that. So stay authentic to your beliefs, your core understanding of what you want to portray, and being authentic and original and being yourself is just, it's the key. It's the whole key to people saying, oh, that's cool. Because that's the reaction you want. Right. The reaction, you don't want people to say, oh, that looks like George's work. You want them to say, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And so that's the reaction you are going after. So when you're looking at trends, because we all see trends, there are always shifts in fashion and in home decor and everything in our world, food trends. There's this arc that you see happening. And our job as artists is to look just over that curve a little bit. So what are other people doing? What's happening culturally? What's happening politically that I have a voice about or an opinion about? How can I bring those things to my work? Because just like I was saying about when you're being your authentic self and bringing your story and finding your fellow geeks, you will find that audience because you're doing authentic work about who you are. So when you're looking over that curve a little bit and thinking about what's trending now, but what's trending next. I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, and things can all of a sudden go, whoa, didn't see that coming. Yeah. That's just the world in which we live. So you want to do a little more anticipation and less imitation. You want to really think about what's happening. I mean, right now we're in a wild place in the entire world, politically, culturally. There's lots of things shifting that I feel the sand shifting beneath my feet. And it's like, that really does inform my work. One of the other things I'm doing right now is, this is a total offshoot, is I'm started to paint really big, colorful abstracts, abstract paintings, which I've never done. But all of a sudden, it's like there's something inside me that wants to express myself in a way that I didn't before. And I think it's because there's something happening in our world, and I want to be able to bring something to the world that responds to that. But we also need people to help other people process emotions. You know, that's why the greeting card industry still exists. That's why giftware, a coffee mug with a sentiment on it, is still a great gift to give someone, because it really touches universal emotions. I just want to make you laugh. I want you to know I love you. All of those things are really important to work. That's why there's still love songs. That's why all of these things are still tried and true methods of communicating with each other. And it's our job to help people do that. And I will say, because I've done a lot of greeting cards in my life.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, okay, how many ways can I say happy birthday? and like 2. But when I started thinking about my work in terms of, my job is not to design a birthday card or a greeting card in general. My job is to help people say things that they have a hard time saying. That's my job. And if I can, and I've said this, and some people just think this is ridiculous, but a greeting card could really change your life. Someone's having a bad day. Someone's having a bad life. And you reach out with, hey, I thought you might think this is funny, or this reminded me of you, can really be a connection point. And that's where your work, you can elevate your work when it becomes a connection point for other people, because that's what we need in the world. So being authentic and original, doing your best as far as your craftsmanship goes, that will always improve. And you want to make sure that you're not on that treadmill of, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, I'm not good enough. Just get it out there. You will improve. Yeah. But yeah, that's a place that artists tend to get stuck. It's not good enough yet. I haven't learned enough. I don't have enough credentials, whatever that is. Get it out there and see what happens. And again, when you're in that place of, I don't know if my work is good enough, again, get some help.
Yeah. Or sometimes the only way to find out is put it out.
Exactly.
And then people will let you know.
Oh, they certainly will. They certainly will. But there's a step in between that. Like, okay, you show it to your mom and your sister, and they're going to go, honey, you are amazing. You are fabulous. And it's like, okay, mom, that'll be $500, But getting a qualified, fresh eye on something, a former teacher, someone you admire in the industry, someone else to just say, could you take 5 minutes and look at my work? Get some feedback. And then because sometimes that fresh eye can say, I see everything is black, or whatever they might see that you're not seeing anymore. And getting a fresh eye on your work from qualified eyeballs, it can really propel you in a beautiful way, because you're too close to the work. Yeah. And then get it out on the market. You can tweak things. If I know anything about this business, I know that we're constantly tweaking. It's totally dynamic. What you're doing today is not, I hope not, what you're doing in 5 years. Right. Because it will be done. So
the world would have moved on.
Exactly. I'm sorry. But it's, that if there's one constant in this business, is it will change. That is the one thing that we know. And so you have to be able to roll with that. And your work needs to keep getting informed by the world in which you live and the feelings that you have and you want to share with the world. That's huge about your work.
Yeah. I love that you touched upon the emotional value that artists bring, because I think that's the best way to resonate and to connect. Even like business owners who are just looking at things in a business way, when they're marketing, that's always what they're trying to do, is like evoke that like some sort of emotion. So I think that's a great segue into the third piece, which is now, okay, you've developed you've developed your work. What about the market?
What about the market? Well, okay, let's just back up just a tiny bit. Okay. One is those two things we talked about, you and your work, those you have total control over. You can always grow as a person. You can always make your work better. You can always do more work. Those things you have control over. The market, however, the market, and I think you touched on this earlier, the market gets to decide the value of your work. So, which is like, what? Don't I get to decide that I want to be a billionaire? No, no, you don't. You can aspire to that and you can put things in place to become a billionaire, but the market really gets to decide if they're going to give you $1 billion. So, but what you can control in that formula is that you can position your work, present your work in such a way that the people that make decisions about that can make a reasonable response to whether or not they want to work with you, whether that's a single person buying a painting or a large company that's going to license 150 pieces of your artwork. How you present yourself, and again, that's where those stories come in. That's where you being interesting helps that process along. But the market, and so it's your job to start to identify that audience. And there's tons of information on identifying your ideal customer and the avatar and all of that. So we won't go into that right now, but there are ways to say, who do I want to talk to? Who are these people? And you need to spend thoughtful time on that. And if your answer is, well, it's for everybody, then your answer is wrong, because nothing is for everybody. Yeah. You really do need to start to look at, are you talking to young moms? Are you talking to kids right out of school that are trying to figure out what their next transition is? Are you talking to older people that just want to relax? Whatever that is, you need to start crafting, like, who does this resonate with? And that's a way when you start to, and I think journaling about things like that is really important. That's how you start. You need, if you're going to use this triangle method, that you need to start thinking about, well, I need to think about this. This is as important as these other two things. And as artists, all we want to do is draw the pictures. I mean, can I just draw the pictures or sing the song? Because that's all really I want to do. That's the But unfortunately, we have to do the other things. That's always our go-to place. So when you think about the market point on your triangle, it's really you presenting yourself in a way that people can understand who you are, what you do, and why you do it. So crafting that and getting help with that is really important as well. The reason the market is the toughest one of these is the market can change. The market can change due to economic conditions, which we certainly saw over, the last 8 to 10 years. Design trends shift, musical taste shifts, and then influencers can come into the market, and all of a sudden everybody's on this thing and some influencer comes in and goes, eyeballs over here. And wherever you are over here, you're like, oh, I see what just happened. And so that's where you're anticipating those things, which you can't anticipate. You can't time the market because those things are always going to change. So when you are doing your most authentic work and you are being your most authentic self, you will probably find your audience because they don't shift as much. When you're trying to go after everything or trying to be the next big thing without climbing a bit of a ladder, that won't work because the market gets to decide. They get to decide whether you are going to be successful or not. But you can help that process by the things that we already talked about. Right. And again, this takes work. This takes the non-drawing, non-singing part of your time to sit down and go, so what is that process? And whatever process is that you develop to get in front of the decision makers that you want to be in front of, you need to make it easy for yourself to do it, for one thing. You need to systemize it so you're not reinventing it every single time or freezing every time you're going to write an email or pick up the phone. You need to make it repeatable. You don't want it to be cookie cutter. You want it to personalize it for whoever you're going to talk to. But it doesn't have to be, you don't have to make it new every single time. So it needs to be a repeatable system. And you probably need to schedule it. Every Tuesday, I'm going to reach out to 5 people. Every, once a month, I'm going to sit down and write 10 emails. Whatever that's going to look like for you, that has to be part of your daily, weekly, monthly method of making a living with your art. It's the worst part, but it's super important because otherwise we're just drawing pictures and dancing in front of our mirror with a hairbrush. That's all we're doing. Alone in our bedroom. Exactly. Not that I've ever done that. To sort of close the circle or the triangle on that. I mean, those 3 things, if you just know that those are the only 3 things you have to do, it's just 3. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's how you move those forward. And you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to get overwhelmed. You just have to make sure that you are paying attention in some fashion, some organized fashion, that you are working toward those things. And the things that you are less sure about, get help with, and get help early. Get help early instead of spinning your wheels for 3 years going, oh, really? That's all I had to do? When you talk to someone who knows a little bit more than you, a little bit more than you do about this process.
Yeah. I love that. And on the note of get help early, so if people want to get help early and find resources that can help them delve deeper into these ideas, where can they go?
Well, they can go to my website for one thing. And I blog a lot about the creative process, and I do cartoons around that, about all the common fears and foibles that we all go through as creative people. But I put together an ebook that's called Ready, Willing, or Able. I wrote it based on everything that I have gone through in my career, to know that you want to make sure that you're ready to do it, that you have all your ducks in a row, that you are willing to do the work that it's going to take, and that you're able. And when you find out the things that you're not able to do, all of that is figure outable. It might be a technical thing. It might be you need a little more coaching or counseling or something like that to get you ready. But when you see, you can identify whether or not you're ready, willing, or able to do this. So we'll have the link to that.
Amazing. Yes, we will have the link to that. So if we can end it off with maybe just one takeaway or a habit that had led you to achieving lasting success.
Oh, this is so super practical for me, is I started time blocking, where I really look at my week and not just block out the things that I already know I need to do, like a dental appointment or a coaching appointment or anything else that's just on my schedule, particularly people that have, I don't have children. And so, people that have kids, their time blocking is going to look different. But also blocking, well, there's Larry, yeah. But blocking out time to write, blocking out time to work on your plan for the next 6 months, block out time, because the only way that stuff happens is by putting an hour window to say, this is what I'm doing. And if that means going to a coffee shop with you and a notebook to write down goals and objectives and things like that. But time blocking, getting those things on the calendar, that's how you start. That's the first step in becoming an organized person that's going to move things forward one small step at a time.
I love it, because creatives, our minds can be everywhere.
Well,
organized.
Well, we all just, the shiny object thing, of course, is a real deal. But the problem with, I've never thought that artists are crazy or there's something off with us. Well, there is, but whatever. But it's a good thing. But I feel like we are endlessly curious, and that's what brings all these ideas to the table. It's the divvying up the curiosity into places that you can move it toward practicality. And to me, that is just as important, because that's the beauty of us, is this endless curiosity.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
And we don't want to lose that.
Yeah. And I just want to add one thing to your takeaway. So this will be my takeaway.
Sure.
And your takeaway is with the blocking your calendar. Once you block it, commit to it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's one thing to plop it on your calendar. It's another to actually spend the hour doing the work.
Right.
So,
right.
Just wanted to make sure that note was there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, Ronnie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to really help us demystify the starving artist and sharing so much valuable insights on how creatives can really build a thriving business with what they're doing. I really appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate your time here. So thank you so much.
And thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I would love to help other people find their voice and vision in the marketplace. And I'm available.
I love it. So all the viewers, you heard her. So if you found value in this conversation, go check out her website, go check out her ebook, put in the work. She's already put in so much effort to give all this value to you. All you have to do is reach out and take advantage of it and use it and move forward with your career, right? So
Absolutely.
The last thing we want is for you to be your own worst enemy. So go take action. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Thriving Artist, the show where we talk about how creatives create flourishing careers. In the meanwhile, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay on your grind, because the world really needs that special something that only you have. Keep creating, and we are out of here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.